and welcome to the April 16th County Council meeting. We'll begin this meeting as always with the land acknowledgement. We begin this gathering by acknowledging and celebrating these traditional lands as a gathering place for the First Peoples and their ancestors who are entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. We do so respecting both the land and the Indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Today, the county is committed to working with Indigenous peoples and all residents to pursue a united path of reconciliation. We have quorum. Madam Clerk?
We do.
Thank you. Item number 3, there's no closed session today. Item number 4, approval and addendum. There are no addendums to my understanding.
There are no addendums. No.
Thank you. And number 5, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none, thank you. Item number 6, adoption of the minutes.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Gowdy, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held March 18th, 2026 be adopted.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Approved. Item number 7, proclamation. 7.1, Nursing Week, May the 11th to 17th, 2026.
So through you, Your Worship, we'll just read the resolve clauses for the proclamations. So Nursing Week, it is moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Councillor Leonard. Now therefore be it resolved that the week of May 11th to the 17th, 2026 be proclaimed Nursing Week in the County of Frontenac with the theme of the power of nurses to transform health, highlighting the essential role of nurses in driving innovation, leading and improving health outcomes.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Approved. Thank you. Item 7.2, Economic Development Week, May the 4th to the 8th, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Lichty, seconded by Councillor Smith. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the County of Frontenac hereby proclaims May 4th through May 8th, 2026 as Economic Development Week in Frontenac County and encourages all residents to recognize and support the businesses, organizations, and individuals whose efforts continue to shape a vibrant and prosperous future for our communities.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Approved. Thank you. Item 7.3, Personal Support Worker, PSW Day, May the 19th, 2026.
Moved by Deputy Warden Vandewaal, seconded by Councillor Fowler. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the County of Frontenac hereby proclaims May 19th, 2026 to be Personal Support Worker or PSW Day in the County of Frontenac.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passed. Item 7.4, Paramedic Services Week, May the 17th to the 23rd, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Gowdy, seconded by Councillor Greenwood Spears. Now therefore be it resolved that the week of May 17th to 23rd, 2026 be proclaimed Paramedic Services Week in the County of Frontenac with the theme of Help Us, Help You.
Comments, questions? I would ask our paramedic chief to pass on our thanks for all the work they do. Thank you, paramedic chief. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Approved. Item 7.5, National Day of Mourning, April the 28th, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Warden Vandewaal. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the County of Frontenac hereby proclaims April 28th, 2026 as the National Day of Mourning in the County of Frontenac.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passed. Item 7.5, Emergency Preparedness Week, May the 3rd to the 9th, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Warden Vandewaal. Therefore be it resolved that the Council of the County of Frontenac hereby proclaims the week of May, that's the wrong date, 3rd to 9th, 2026 to be Emergency Preparedness Week throughout the County of Frontenac with the theme of Be Prepared.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passed. The last proclamation is 7.7, Volunteer Week, April the 19th to the 25th, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Gowdy. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the County of Frontenac hereby proclaims April 19th to the 25th, 2026 to be National Volunteer Week in the County of Frontenac with the theme Celebrate the Ways in which People in Canada have ignited volunteerism in their communities, and further that the County of Frontenac celebrate and thank each of our volunteers for their commitment to others and urge citizens to recognize the crucial role played by volunteers in our community.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passed. Item number 8, delegations and presentations. We have no delegations or presentations today. Number 9, move into the committee of the whole.
Moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Councillor Leonard, that council adjourn and meet as the committee of the whole with the warden in the chair.
All those in favor? Passed. Mr. Farrell? Item number 10, briefings, the CEO briefing report.
Perfect. Good morning, Warden, Deputy Warden, and Council. As always, I'll take you through the CIO's monthly report for April, and I'll touch on the main points and happy to answer any questions. There we go. So first off, just to highlight a few items from my April schedule leading into May. I recently met with the CRCA's General Manager, David Ellingwood. We discussed the ongoing amalgamation of conservation authorities. We continue to keep communications open and track details from the province as we move towards the new structure. On April 2nd, the GIS team and I were invited for a tour of the Kingston Central Ambulance Communications Center. It was a great opportunity to see how our team contributes data and mapping used by 911 dispatch. On April 7th, I helped support CAO Latimer and the Township of Frontenac Islands in the interview process for their vacant treasurer position. AMO recently hosted a CAO town hall session on April 9th. This was to discuss the Canada-Ontario Partnership to Build initiative. The focus was on the proposed changes to development charges and how these changes will impact municipalities. There's still a lot of uncertainty around these changes, but they did point out that it's voluntary. And in the context of Frontenac County, I believe Frontenac Islands and South Frontenac are the two that currently have development charges. The EOWC's Healthcare Working Group held a meeting yesterday to discuss advocacy efforts around long-term care and community paramedicine. So these advocacy efforts will continue to be brought forward through the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus. The public session, So You Want to Run for Council, is being held next week at Oso Hall in Sharbot Lake, and we're excited to engage with members of the public. And lastly, we look forward to welcoming 3 summer students at the beginning of May. These student interns will help with planning, economic development, and GIS. In terms of a human resources update, as of April 8th, we've had 98 postings. The HR team attended the Kingston Keys Career Fair. Ongoing recruitment, as always, in Fairmount Home, as well as part-time paramedic recruitment is ongoing. Interviews are completed. 30 offers have gone out with 23 confirmed. And we're looking at onboarding those folks May 4th, which is coming up. We have posting for up to 3 part-time ferry operators as well. OPSU bargaining, we're still awaiting some negotiation dates. We had some dates and then they've got shuffled around. We have no new mediations or arbitrations. And the HR team has helped support and resolve 2 of 4 active investigations. Some impressive milestones were achieved by paramedics this month. Mark Lawler, a paramedic for over 45 years, is celebrating 40 years of service with the county. And Shauna Dunn, our superintendent of performance standards, celebrated her 20th year with the county. So a huge thank you goes out to Mark and Shauna for their dedication and service. During the Grand Friends program with the grade 3 class at Elginburg Public School, the students interviewed Fairmount residents about their lives. Not only is it an enjoyable program for residents, but it's also a learning opportunity for the students. On March 6th, Fairmount residents and caregivers enjoyed an outing to Coco Fruity for a delightful brunch. And thanks to a generous donation from a resident family member, Fairmount residents enjoyed an afternoon with Elvis on March 21st. I won't be doing an impression. Not only did he put on a great show, but he stuck around after for a meet and greet with residents and an opportunity for photos. Total digital engagements for March were down slightly from February and from the same period last year. And the top items of interest were related to International Women's Day, County Council's support of the Nurse Practitioner Pilot Project on Wolf Island, and posts related to Freddie, the paramedic exchange trainee from Switzerland. Following our lean process improvement training that took place recently, staff are eagerly ready to apply what they learned to keep the momentum going. Potential projects include vehicle tracking, narcotics storage, uniform inventories, and budgeting and business plans. Joe Gallivan and I joined other representatives from neighboring municipalities and non-governmental organizations to hear from Alto on various aspects of the proposed high-speed rail project recently. Following the presentations from Alto, there was opportunity for questions and engagement. Participants expressed numerous concerns throughout that session, everything from environmental impacts, concerns around expropriation and impeded access to agricultural lands, impacts to municipal infrastructure, roads and trails, as well as service delivery and emergency response concerns. There was a general consensus from the various participants that the project as proposed would have no clear community benefits to rural Frontenac. And as council is aware, there's an Alto motion for consideration later on this agenda. I'm happy to report to council that I have recently finished my third course to Queen's University, achieving a certificate in labor relations. This was a goal that I had previously shared with council. And finally, we are pleased to welcome back Brianna McKeithran to the executive assistant and deputy clerk role, and we're excited to have her as part of the team again. And with that announcement also comes a farewell to Alexandra Hammond, who's made a lasting impression during her short time with us. Alex will be continuing her education, specializing in project management and community engagement. She has a very bright future ahead, and she has assured me she'll keep her eye on Frontenac. And I got through that without crying. So with that, I'll take any questions from council.
I think council should show our appreciation to Alex for all the work that she's done. Oh, she's at the back. Thank you. You found a room at the back, a chair at the room at the back. You know what I was trying to say. There you go. So any comments or questions? Oh, sorry. Councilor Vanderwall.
The only comment I had is, yes, the development charges is voluntary. However, Doug Ford on TV said, you don't participate, you don't receive funding from the province. I'm not sure how that makes it voluntary, but anyway.
Any other comments or questions? Councilor Greenwood-Spears.
Thank you. I will be brief. While it indicated no new mediations or arbitrations, how many do we have currently ongoing?
So I'll look to our director of HR to answer that.
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I believe we're around 5 right now.
And
Follow-up question?
I was hoping we had a response as to why there's such a low Twitter involvement for the Howe Island Ferry. You were going to try to get back to me on that?
I will send a follow-up memo to all of council on that item.
Okay.
Other comments, questions?
Well, that was it.
Thank you. Any other councilors have a question or comment? I would have one on behalf of the residents of Wolf Island. I want to thank council for their financial support for that nurse practitioner clinic. It's a big step forward in trying to address a serious issue on the island. The residents for sure thank the county for your efforts on that. If there are no further questions or comments for Mr. Farrell, the next briefing is 10.2 Economic Development Briefing with Mr. Richard Allen.
Greetings, Council, Warden. You should have had on your desk a copy of each of these. There are annual reports, something that we've been doing for the past, I guess, 3 years now, just to share with the community and with council and our partner councils just some of the work that we're undertaking each year in terms of economic development and in terms of the KMP Trail. Because sometimes when we provide reports, the progress feels very incremental, but I feel like when we compile it together, you can see that we're very busy. And so I'm just going to take you through both reports really quickly here with this briefing, and then I'll take any questions. So if we move to the first slide, economic development in 2025 was guided by our 4 priority areas in the charter. The charter, sorry, I'm used to going not off notes, and I thought I'd try notes today, and it's not so good. Okay, so anyway, so 2025, we worked to emphasize partnerships around a lot of these pieces, specifically in tourism, but also in terms of economic infrastructure and food and beverage. Our strategic initiatives that were set by council give us a good a good plan to guide us in our work. And what happens is economic development, it tends to be the bucket that anything we don't know where to put lands in our bucket. And, you know, some of the things that we get are very, very interesting. We have to say, no, does it fit into one of these buckets? If so, we can prioritize it. If not, we'll consider it or take it to council. Next slide, please. So just a brief profile, and this is, again, everything that's in here is in those documents we shared with you. We have a bit of a profile of the population as well as the construction value for building permits in Frontenac. You can see we've had a bit of a decline since 2022 in terms of building permits, but we're still higher than 2020 or even 2021. Our department doesn't have direct impact on building permits, but it is a good indicator of of economic health in our community. And so it's something that's good to share to sort of show whether or not investment's taking place. Next slide, please. In terms of tourism, our 2025 activities included working on marketing partnerships with RTO9, Ontario's Highlands, Destination Ontario, Tourism Kingston, and supporting local businesses by helping amplify their messages to the community. We had shared with you about this time last year the This is Frontenac video, and we had taken that around to all of the councils as well. And you can see a photo of us shooting that video. It was award-winning. We won an award at EDAC, the Economic Developers Association of Canada, late last year for that campaign, and we were really excited about that. Try this. So, oh, we both did it. Okay, so in terms of the marketing campaigns that I spoke about, we did a cycling contest with RTO9, and that helped strengthen our engagement on our Visit Frontenac social media platforms. And we had donations given from visitors and my apologies. We had donations for that campaign given by the Blue Moose B&B on our Wolf Island, as well as other types of pieces that pulled that trip together. We did some regional itinerary development, so like ideas of trips through both Frontenac County, but as well as our neighbors. And we worked with Ride the Highlands, which is a motorcycle route that's been developed over the past 10 years with Ontario's Highlands. We've seen and heard from some of our businesses that the Ride the Highlands marketing that they receive really does drive visits to their businesses, and they're really excited to continue participation. The Eastern Ontario Rail Trail Loop, which we'll speak about again later, was also highlighted as a regional tourism initiative, and we're hoping to position it in a similar way to the Ride the Highlands program. The report also talks about a lot of the business support work that we've done over the course of the past year, including hosting the business retreat, having our annual business awards. This was the first year we separated those events and had them separate from each other, and we think that that was a success. Different kind of mood and different timing, and it sort of allowed for a more sensible time commitment when we went to the business retreat at RKY camp. We also hosted and co-hosted business networking sessions throughout the year, some in North Frontenac as well as in South Frontenac. And we did a familiarization tour for Kingston media and Kingston tourism professionals in June of last year. Every month we go out with Frontenac Business Services to visit businesses, and we pick a different township to do that. And over the course of the year, we had 242 business interactions that we managed to track. Some may have slipped through the cracks. And we have 361 newsletter subscribers and a very positive open rate. So we have a very engaged business community who are following the information that we're sharing. One of the big pieces of last year was our healthcare in our community project. We reported 333 hours in the staff portfolio, and that's mostly not my hours. Those are mostly Debbie's hours. It is a complex work. Each clinic has its own unique structure, its own unique set of priorities, and finding succession for those physicians and making it attractive to retain and attract new physicians is a moving target, especially as the province keeps changing how it's supporting physicians at the same time. But we've been working closely, and we actually got to tour a physician through the Sydenham and Verona clinics last week, and so the work is starting to show some success. Food and beverage, Open Farms was our flagship food and beverage project. We had 19 participating locations last year, and about 6,000 visits to the dedicated Open Farms website. However, of those 19 participating locations, a small percentage of them are businesses in Frontenac. Some of them were our farmers markets that businesses attend, and it consumes almost as much time as healthcare in terms of our portfolio. And so we're looking to, and we brought a report to the Planning and Economic Development Committee, as well as which was confirmed by council, that we're going to not focus on a single event for Open Farms, but more so focus on supporting farms and local food and beverage businesses on an ongoing basis through a number of initiatives. And one of those initiatives will be strengthening our support for farmers markets. And so you'll see some of that start to emerge in the second half of this year. We can't have an annual report if we don't talk about administration. We do attend a lot of committees and bring reports to county council. And we also make reports to township councils and participate in committees at the township level, such as the Economic Development Committee in Central Frontenac, the task force in North Frontenac, and we've been lately attending a business group on Wolf Island. We also have regular meetings with other partners such as the Frontenac Business Services, the regional tourism organizations, and the economic development associations. When we move to the KMP Trail document, it's a little bit shorter, but no less impactful. It really focuses on talking about how recreation and infrastructure continues to connect our communities in Frontenac County. The KMP Trail, as you know, is part of the Trans-Canada Trail and the Eastern Ontario Rail Trail Loop. And we know that it supports local business activity in the corridor based on the user survey we ran last year. Here's some of the data indicators of what happened in 2025. We saw quite a bit of trail use. You can see that the snowmobile season still rings strongly when there is snow. We don't quite have the data in for this year yet, but it will likely be much higher than it was last year, as we've had a very strong season. But we've had a similar amount of visits to the trail overall over the past 3 years. We have some interesting data in terms of where people come from to visit the trail. 50% of 52% really come from less than 20 kilometers away. And then we can see that 15% come from over 100 kilometers away. And so those are the visitors that we're looking to attract more of and increase that percentage of when it comes to the trail. The user survey was led by our summer student last year, and we had a combination of online engagement, in-person engagement, as well as reaching out to some of our trail partners to secure responses. We got a fair number of responses, and that we were quite happy with the response rate. However, it was mostly, as you can see, the pedestrians and cyclists who responded. We didn't get as strong a showing from the motorized community as we sort of expected and hoped for. And so some of the requests might be oriented towards those types of uses more so than other uses in the survey response. However, we were able to determine a little bit of economic impact using our survey data, and there's an estimated impact of about $1.8 million in terms of food, fuel, and accommodations that happen from visitors on the trail. So it's not doing nothing, even though sometimes it feels like it could be very quiet. A day like today, I hope it's quiet out there, but maybe we'll see some more activity as the summer approaches. The Eastern Ontario Rail Trail Loop, it continues to be a great platform for the evolution of the KMP Trail from a infrastructure project to an economic development project. It connects, this loop project connects our trails across Frontenac, Lanark, and Renfrew counties. And we've really moved our partners into action this in 2025, where we're starting to see additional investments as per recommended in the assessment that was completed in 2024. As partners, we've adopted a 2030 vision and a 5-year roadmap to get there. That vision for 2030 is to attract, is to be able to go to an export market, which means market to visitors from outside the region by 2030. But there are certain things that need to be in place in terms of accommodations, food and beverage, and wayfinding before we do that. But there is some regional potential in terms of visits and visitor spending. Whoops, I turned off the screen. Some of the other partnerships and projects that we did in terms of the trail include the Antoine Creek Bridge, which we did very quickly last year, and it was a success based on what we've heard from the Snowmobile Club and Snow Road Station this year, keeping snowmobiles off the roads and for the most part in North Frontenac, and making it a safer and more active route for snowmobilers to go through. We also did some Google Street View updates to include the North Frontenac section of the trail into the Google Street View, and continued with our trail business sign program. You'll also see a partner feature with the LNA Ridge Runners. So they are our snowmobiling partner south of Titchburn, and so they provide the grooming services and trail maintenance during the winter for that section of the KMP Trail. And that's all I've got to say about economic development and the KMP Trail annual reports at this stage. I'm happy to take any questions about the reports.
Comments, questions for Mr. Allen? Sorry, Councillor Fowler.
Yes, thanks for your presentation, Richard. It's really good to hear from you. Regarding housing, is there any promotions with other organizations speaking basically about the extra housing on lots that the government is allowing us to do?
So admittedly, housing is a relatively new priority for us, and now that we've got 3 in our department in 2026, we have the capacity to really pursue that. And one of the avenues that we're pursuing the housing piece is supporting the Frontenac Municipal Services. But that is a good question. We haven't looking forward, we can look into whether or not the promotion of additional dwelling units is something that can be done.
Other comments, questions? Councillor Greenwood Spears.
Thank you. I have a few, and one is related to the data, and that when we talk about 242 track businesses interactions, and then we look at the Wolf Island monthly meeting that has about 20 people or 20 businesses represented every time, would that count as one interaction? So 12 over the course of the year for that entire group, or are you counting them individuals?
Yeah, we count that as one interaction.
Okay, thank you. Second of that, the distance from place of residence for the trail encounter, and that, are we doing anything aggressively to try to recruit? To me, it's anybody that's 20 kilometers on that we should be targeting, and that the locals are pretty familiar with our trail and that. But when I look at what works for Wolf Island businesses in Kingston, it's often a small pamphlet that is at the Kingston Information Bureau as well as at the Marriott and the other hotels there down by the water, because it's the way to get to Wolf Island. However, it's also the way to get onto the trail if the visitors know how to hook onto the trail and that. So I'm just wondering if we've done anything aggressively that way.
So yes, we have a partnership with the with Ontario by Bike, and so they attend trade shows, large trade shows in Montreal and Toronto each year, and they take some of our rack cards with us and promote them at those shows to that market. We also are through our partners at the Frontenac ATV Club. They take our pamphlets to the Quinte Sportsman Show and distribute those there. The other piece is we're trying to promote and encourage events along the trail, and those tend to bring in a lot of folks. The ATV Club, in fact, runs almost 30 to 40 events a year, and they bring in people from as far away as Mississauga, London, to attend those events.
So going back to the rack cards, are they going into the Kingston Information Bureau as well as the hotels that are down that area?
We also provide information to Kingston,
Rack
the
cards.
Kingston Visitor Center.
Because there's a high consumption. And another piece, when you're doing the trail survey and that, and looking at the little graph on the right-hand side, you got 153 respondents for bikes and 153 for foot, and yet they're different heights on the graph. It just confused me a little bit. But beside that, the 12% visitors to Frontenac County, it's a very low group that we've heard back from, and it'd be nice to find out from these people that aren't in Frontenac County what they want to have done. And the final piece is the figures being used on how much cyclists contribute and visitors contribute and et cetera, and that it just strikes me very low in that. And I believe we had a presentation just a month or two ago on that where the amount per cyclist was much higher than that. Is that, where did that figure come from?
So these figures are from our survey. So these are what the people who are currently visiting are contributing, but those who would be making an overnight, so the cycling and contributions that you see happening on an overnight on a weekend is closer to $500 per visit, but like that's including accommodations for those people. These are generally day visits.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Sorry, Deputy Warden Vanderwall.
I have a comment and a question. The comment was it costs more, I guess, for motorized vehicles on the trail, but as you can see, they contribute the most to the economy. So that's my push for the loop. The other one is, and this isn't negative, I'm just asking, what does it cost to print these?
It's about $1,000 to print these, and that and we print 100 of each to distribute to everyone.
Thank you.
Other comments, Councillor Fowler?
Yes, just one other thing regarding the K&P trail from the 509 to the Lanark County line. Are we going to see any progress in that this year to see if we can get it completed?
The plan is to do some additional work on that in order to make that section in Snow Road Station available to users year round.
Other comments, questions? Oh, former warden. Get all these.
I'll go with past warden or counselor.
All right.
I just wanted to comment on the quality of the services provided by the Frontenac ATV Club from someone, i.e. me, who had doubts about them. They have come to the top time and time again. They're very active. They've done what they said, and I look forward to keeping working with them.
If nobody else has a question, Richard, your report didn't include any of the work you're doing with the Wolf Island Horns Ferry. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, I would summarize that as mostly 2026 work, and so you'll see that in next year's report.
Thank you. I did want council to know that you are actively involved in that, and it does take up a lot of time, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
If there are no other comments or questions, thank you, Mr. Allen. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. We have no unfinished business. We have no consent reports from the Chief Administrative Officer. And item number 12, Committee of Management, Fairmont Homes. There is no Committee of Management report. Item number 14, recommended reports from the Chief Administrative Officer Report 2026-036, Corporate Services Amendment to Citizen Appointments to Boards and Committees of County Council Policy.
So that's moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears and seconded by Councillor Leonard. Be it resolved that policy A09-ADM-001, citizen appointment to boards and committees of county council, be amended to add under criteria to serve on a board or committee the following. Members of township council cannot be appointed to any committee as a member. And then I will let you speak to the need for an amendment.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So as the Madam Clerk has pointed out, this requires an amendment to the policy. So we're looking for a motion to make that amendment. So former Warden Vanderwall. I'm trying to keep track of all this timeline. Deputy. We'll go with Councillor. Councillor Smith, you are seconding it. So comments, questions on the amendment? Councillor Greenwood Spears.
Just that the use of the term member, I think it should say member of the public, because council members are certainly appointed to committees and that, but they are appointed as council members. So what this is clarifying, that a council member that cannot be appointed as a quote public member, and that I just think that should be a little bit more clear, because it seems to not read as well, both in the last paragraph as well as at the very start. Members of township council cannot be appointed to any committee as a member of the public, representing the public or something of that nature. And that, just to be clear, because they certainly will be appointed to committees.
Madam Clerk.
So if I could add to that, we could add that, but this policy is specifically for citizen appointees. It doesn't address council appointees. That would be more found in our procedural bylaw.
We've given up our citizenship when we sit at this table.
Councillor Fowler, I think you have a legitimate comment.
Yes, on one of our committees, one of the members became a counselor. And so what happens to that person?
Madam Clerk, do you want to comment on that?
Well, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should rephrase that. So actually, under the Municipal Act, they define a committee as when 50% or more are members of council, and it says any council. It's not specific to the council of the municipality's procedural bylaw. It's any member of council. So a member of council is no longer considered a citizen. They are a member of council. So we do have that. And that is why we're here, because we do have one member on the Planning and Economic Development Advisory Committee that is no longer a citizen. They have become a member of Township Council in North Frontenac. So the policy itself really wasn't clear. So this really is to make the policy quite clear that any member of council, regardless of which council you sit on, is no longer a citizen. They are a member of council.
Councillor Fowler, that answers your question?
Yeah, I just wonder what's going to happen to the person.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we have a amendment on the floor.
Yes, so that amendment is, and it's moved by Deputy Warden Van de Wal and seconded by Councillor Smith, that the policy be further amended under vacancies to add, if the vacancy occurs during an election year, council may elect to follow an expedited process by authorizing the warden to appoint a citizen based on either township or county staff's recommendation. If the vacancy is specific to a township, the clerk will reach out to the township for a recommendation.
Any comments or questions regarding that amended motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passed. So we'll now call the main, so that was, my apologies, that was the amendment. So now we need to vote on the full amended policy, the main policy. And we have a second. Okay, it's on the floor. So any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passed. Item number 15, information reports from the Chief Administrative Officer. There are several reports. Are there any comments or questions regarding those reports? Seeing none, thank you. Item number 16, reports from the Advisory Committee of County Council. Report of the Planning and Economic Development Advisory Committee.
So this is moved by Councillor Lichty and seconded by Councillor Smith, that the report of the Planning and Economic Development Advisory Committee be received and adopted. And there are two items on there. The official plan amendment number 2 to the Township of North Frontenac, and official plan amendment number 3 to the Township of North Frontenac.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passed. Sorry, item number 17, return to council.
Moved by Deputy Warden Van de Wal, seconded by Councillor Fowler, that council revert from Committee of the Whole Council to council.
All those in favor? Passed. Number 18, adoption of the report of the Committee of Whole of Council.
And moved by Councillor Gowdy, seconded by Councillor Greenwood Spears, that the report of the Committee of the Whole Council be adopted and that the necessary actions or bylaws be enacted.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passed. Number 19, motions, notice of which have been given. 19.1, opposition to the Alto Rail project as presented.
Moved by Deputy Warden Van de Wal and seconded by Councillor Leonard, and we will read the whole motion given its importance. Whereas the federal government has identified Alto High-Speed Rail as a nation-building project with an estimated cost of $60 to $90 billion to deliver faster, more reliable passenger rail service, and whereas Alto, a federal crown corporation whose role is to establish an HSR network between Toronto and Quebec City, has released 2 possible route options coming through the County of Frontenac. And whereas portions of the proposed project will traverse and impact communities, infrastructure, residential and agricultural lands, municipal trails, and environmentally sensitive areas, and with no long-term economic benefits. And whereas expected impacts such as the closure and or dead ending of roads will have significant ongoing and unknown costs to municipalities, impede access to farmland, and have service delivery and emergency response implications to residents and businesses. And whereas municipalities and residents have not received sufficient detailed information regarding potential local impacts, including land use, environmental effects, municipal infrastructure interfaces, and long-term financial and operational implications. And whereas the county takes pride in its rural character, the protection of environmentally sensitive areas, its agriculture lands, and its many natural features, including the UNESCO designation Frontenac Arch Biosphere. Now therefore be it resolved that the limited information, insufficient consultation that has been provided to date, unclear rural impacts, and potential negative environmental effects of the Council of the County of Frontenac, that the Council of the County of Frontenac formally opposes the proposed corridors through the county, And further, that County Council formally supports exploring train route options along existing infrastructure corridors such as Via Rail and or Highway 401, including a stop within the boundaries of the City of Kingston, which is the regional urban center, economic hub, as well as the transportation node for southeastern Ontario. This would ensure a long-term economic benefit to the region should the HSR project move forward. And further, that County Council formally supports that the first proposed corridor for construction, being Ottawa to Montreal, and to protect the interests of our residents, that the land expropriation process consider an approach where no expropriation west of Ottawa would take place until the Ottawa-Montreal corridor is nearing completion, and further information has been shared on a better defined corridor west of Ottawa, along with supporting information. And further, that staff be directed that this motion be sent to the Honorable Steve McKinnon, Federal Minister of Transportation, the Honorable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, MP Mark Garrettson, MP Scott Reed, the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, MPP John Jordan, Mark Imblue, the President of Alto, Mayor Brian Patterson, City of Kingston, and neighboring municipalities to the county that are planned to be within this proposed HSR corridors.
Deputy Warden Vanderwall, would you like to speak to your motion? Or sorry, to your, yes, to your motion.
Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I've had enough meetings and dialogue about Alto that I'm almost exhausted. However, we do have a meeting this afternoon with the Minister of Transportation, Steve McKinnon, and he has only invited Brian Patterson and myself. And the rumor is that they're pretty interested in the 401 corridor. So we will see if that's a positive. I hope it is. So we have to go up there this afternoon. And we know that Tourism Kingston is also supporting the southern route of the 401 corridor. So it sounds like there's a bit of a groundswell in supporting that. And so hopefully we gain some traction on it. But other than that, I think it says what it says. I don't know of too many rural municipalities where there's no advantage why we would want it. It'll decimate our community. I know that.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Smith.
I just want to add to that, that we now go to Kingston to take a train if we want to go to Toronto, Ottawa, wherever, without having a station in Kingston. This whole section of Eastern Ontario is without the ability to take a train. I'm certainly not going to drive to Peterborough, or I'm not going to drive to Ottawa to take a train. So if they really want to have riders and they care about the Eastern Ontario section at all, they really need to look at this as being a real option that could work, and could work for more people than just the people in cities.
If I could just add to that, the report that we're taking with us shows $43 million more in revenue by going through Kingston with a stop.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? I would like to thank Deputy Warden Vanderwall for bringing this forward. I think it's very important for all of Eastern Ontario, and specifically Frontenac County. And the way this is worded is very consistent with the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus position on it. So I think there's a very united, common message going forward. So again, thank you for bringing that forward. So with no further comments or questions, all those in favor? Passed. I want to make sure you put up your hand. Is anyone, are there any are there any notices of motion to be given? Seeing none. Item 21, communication. There's a long list of communication items there for County Council. 22, other business. Are there any other business to be announced or brought forward? Seeing none. Agenda item number 23, bylaws, general bylaws and confirmatory bylaw.
Moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Councillor Leonard. Resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce bylaws 1 through 3 that have been circulated to all members of County Council, and that bylaws 1 through 3 be read a first and second time.
Comments, questions? All those in favor? Approved. Item 23-2.
Moved by Counselor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Counselor Leonard, that bylaws 1 through 3 be read a third time, signed, sealed, and finally passed.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, passed. Item 23-3, bylaws.
That's just listing them.
So no further action required. And item number 24, that the meeting hereby adjourn at.
So that's moved by Counselor Lichty, seconded by Counselor Smith, that the meeting hereby adjourn at 10:19 a.m.
Comments, questions? All those in favor? Approved. Thank you.